The metallic hum of the workshop's night lights barely penetrated the stillness of Vorith Station. Outside, the docking bays were silent, save for the distant thrum of cargo freighters making their eternal circuits. Inside, tools were scattered across the floor, and the smell of oil and scorched metal lingered like a stubborn ghost. I sat slumped in my chair, cradling a small bundle wrapped in a tattered blanket, a crying infant that refused to stop, no matter how much I shushed, rocked, or murmured to her. The baby was my life now, or at least what remained of it. Before the war, I had been just another mechanic, fixing ships, weapons, and anything else that could keep a colony running. Then my wife, she hadn't survived the last raid. The syndicate attack had left me widowed, broken, and too stubborn to leave the station. And now, I was staring at a tiny, wailing life, depending entirely on a man who still wasn't sure he knew how to live without someone to guide him. A knock at the workshop door startled me, sharp and deliberate, echoing against the metal walls. I froze, clutching the baby. "Who's there?" I croaked. "Work," came a deep, melodic voice. Low, controlled, with an edge that made the air itself vibrate. "I am capable. I seek employment. I will pay." I blinked. At midnight. The door creaked open before I could respond, and she stepped inside. A dragon woman, massive, majestic, yet compact in her frame, with iridescent scales glinting silver and violet under the workshop's harsh lights. Her wings folded neatly behind her, and her golden eyes, sharp and intense, swept over the room, the baby, and me in one fluid motion. I stammered. The infant cried louder, as if sensing my hesitation. She took one step closer, unbothered by the crying, and laid a gloved hand gently against the hull of a hovering repair skiff. "I work. I fix, I fight, I transport. You need a hand?" I swallowed, unsure whether I was in the presence of a warrior, a mercenary, or something older and far more dangerous. "I might. Depends on what kind of work you're offering. I can handle machines," she replied, voice even. "I can pilot ships. I can carry loads. And I am fast. Efficient. Disciplined. I will make your life easier, if you let me." The baby stopped crying for just a moment, eyes wide and shimmering with curiosity, or maybe it was instinct, recognizing something powerful. I glanced down, then back at her. "Name?" "Kylera Drath." She tilted her head slightly. "Dragon warrior. I prefer action to words." I exhaled slowly, feeling the tension in my shoulders begin to loosen. "All right. Kylera. Come inside, then. You'll need to start with the machines first. Middle work, trust, and bonds." Over the next few days, Kylera proved herself more than capable. She handled rusted hover engines, stubborn wiring conduits, and plasma torches as if they were extensions of her own body. She worked faster than any mechanic I had ever met, her movements precise, almost dance-like, her golden eyes constantly scanning every detail. The baby, my daughter, Lyra, took an immediate liking to her. There was something about Kylera's presence, warm, protective, and quietly commanding. Lyra would reach tiny hands toward the dragon woman as she worked, gurgling and cooing, and Kylera would respond with soft murmurs, letting the infant crawl onto her scaled arm. One evening, after the docking bay lights dimmed and the workshop hummed with quiet energy, I asked the question I had avoided. You just showed up at midnight. Alone. How did you even find this station?" Kylera straightened from adjusting the engines on a hover cart. Her wings flexed subtly behind her. "I follow work where it is needed. And you are known as the man who survives where others fail. The widow. You carry life despite the losses. I respect that." I swallowed hard. "You make it sound noble. It's mostly just luck and stubbornness." "Luck," she said softly. "And determination. The two are often confused. Both are valuable. I felt an unfamiliar warmth in my chest. Perhaps it was admiration, perhaps something else entirely. Days passed in a rhythm neither of us had expected. I repaired ships and circuits while Kylera handled the more dangerous operations, testing the engines, recalibrating the weapon mounts, and occasionally teaching me a new technique. Lyra would watch, laughing and kicking tiny legs, occasionally squealing with delight whenever Kylera flexed her wings or adjusted her scales to shimmer in the light. Then came the first attack. The Syndicate raiders, having traced the residual energy signatures from the last strike, descended in a small fleet to recover stolen cargo and perhaps exact revenge on me. I barely had time to close the workshop shutters when Kylera grabbed her arm blade and positioned herself in front of me and Lyra. "You stay behind me," she commanded. "Do not expose the child. Do not move unless I instruct." "Yes," I muttered, feeling a mix of pride and nervous tension. The raiders landed with a crash, attempting to breach the workshop walls. Kylera moved like a storm unleashed, wings slicing the air, her blade flashing, sending plasma bolts scattering with precise deflections. Every strike, every movement, was poetry in motion, a terrifying ballet of violence and grace. I grabbed a nearby plasma welder and fumbled in the shadows, trying to defend the workshop and Lyra. Kylera noticed my efforts, her eyes softening ever so slightly. "You are learning. Good." The battle was brief but brutal. When the last raider retreated, smoking and defeated, Kylera stood at the center of the workshop, wings spread slightly, golden eyes scanning for any remaining threat. She turned to me, her expression unreadable, and then finally, for the first time, allowed herself a hint of a smile. "You survived," she said, voice low. "The child survives. This partnership is proving effective." I wiped sweat and soot from my brow. "Yeah, thanks to you." She nodded, glancing down at Lyra, who now reached up to her. Kylera bent gently, allowing the infant to cling to her scales. "She is brave," Kylera said softly. "Like her father." I felt a lump in my throat. It had been so long since anyone had said anything kind about me. The confession and connection. That night, after repairing the last hull breaches and settling Lyra in a makeshift crib, I found Kylera sitting atop the workbench, wings folded neatly behind her, her golden eyes fixed on me. "You are tired," she said, voice almost a whisper. "And yet you continue. For her. For life." I admire that. I hesitated. "I'm just trying to survive. That's all." "You do more than survive," she countered, leaning slightly forward. "You nurture. You protect. You love." I swallowed. I loved her. My wife. Before everything. Kylera's eyes softened, and she reached out, almost hesitant, to brush a hand against my shoulder. The scales were cool, surprisingly gentle. "Loss does not make you weak. It makes you stronger. And it seems, it has left space for life to enter again." I looked at her, caught off guard by the words, the gesture, the unspoken invitation. "Kylera." She tilted her head, wings shifting slightly. "I am not bound by human laws. I do not court in the same way. But I sense a bond forming. Between you, the child, and myself. If you are willing to allow it." The baby stirred in her arms, eyes blinking up at me. In that moment, I realized I had never felt truly alone since my wife's passing. Perhaps, just perhaps, I could open my heart again not just to life, but to the dragon warrior who had appeared in the night, knocking on my door when I thought the world had ended. "I think I'm willing," I admitted quietly. Kylera smiled a slow, deliberate movement, golden eyes gleaming. "Then let us survive. Together. Ending the new family." Weeks passed. Kylera stayed on the station, proving herself invaluable as a mechanic, protector, and guardian for both me and Lyra. The three of us fell into a rhythm: work, play, survival, and tentative trust. Kylyra taught Lyra simple words in Dracori, and the infant babbled gleefully in response. I began to repair my ships with her at my side, laughter occasionally breaking through the long hours of labor. One evening, as the twin suns of Vorith Station set in molten orange and violet streaks, Kylyra stood outside the workshop, her wings casting a long shadow. She turned to me and said softly, "I will stay. I will fight. I will protect. Not because I am asked, but because this family matters." I nodded, feeling an unfamiliar warmth spread through me. "Then let's survive. Together." The baby cooed from her crib inside, and Kylyra reached out, allowing Lyra to crawl into her arms. I watched them, daughter and dragon warrior, smiling in the fading light. For the first time since the raid, since the loss, since the endless solitude, I felt hope. Not just survival, but life, love, family. And I knew, as the dragon warrior watched over us, that no force in the galaxy could take it away. The end.